Hi everyone, welcome back to Ty the Movie Guy. Sorry I was gone for a while. I was helping to organize a film festival, so I was quite busy, but now I'm back. And so I was going to make a video about the Oscars, and I just got so caught up. I did manage to watch a bunch of the nominees, but I figured I might as well wait until I could see who had won and probably provide a better reaction video that way. No sense in speculating probably the day before the Oscars anyways. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. So they were last night. I didn't think I was gonna watch them, but then as it was approaching, I got like FOMO, and I was like, I don't know why I would not watch this. And so I did, and I'm really glad that I did. It was a lot of fun, and I think that not having a host was the best thing that they've done in years. It kept it fresh. Each presenter got to do their own thing. If one of them was awkward or unfunny, it was done pretty quick, but then the ones that were funny left you wanting more, so that was nice. I thought John Mulaney and Awkwafina were quite funny. I thought that when Melissa McCarthy came out with Paperboy in a dress, I thought that was quite funny. Overall, there were some good bits. It really helped it move along quite quickly, not having a host. So I'd say I think they should continue to do that. In the acting categories, super nice to see Mahershala Ali win. I have not seen Beale Street yet. Surprisingly, that was one of the ones I was looking forward to most, but it didn't have quite as many nominations, so I kind of wanted to get the ones with lots of nominations out of the way. But I felt like the best actor category was the one that was most up in the air for me, and I probably would have been happy with any of them winning, and I was certainly happy with Rami Malek winning, even though I didn't really like the movie. I still think that he gave it his all. You could see he put his heart and soul into it. It was quite a good performance. I think the teeth were a little much, and you can tell that that's something that the Academy likes, is when someone plays a real person and they put on lots of makeup and stuff. So I wasn't super surprised that Rami won. One thing that I found strange was that Emma Stone was a supporting actress, even though it felt like she was the lead of that film. I don't really know what was going on there, but it was super awesome to see Olivia Colman get her award, and she was so excited, and I think it was just the most wholesome reaction that she had. You can tell that she was so surprised and so humble, and I think that made the night for me. Supporting actor, though, I was definitely rooting for Mahershala, and so I was super happy to see him win. He played it really well as kind of being closed off in his shell, and then slowly coming out of it, and he had some pretty big emotional moments in that as well. That man's winning. I love to watch his rise, and he just keeps rising, so it'll be nice to see what he does next. Super excited to see Black Panther winning some awards. Pretty monumental to be Marvel's first film to win some Oscars, so that was super cool. And in the categories that I had thought that it would win in too, it was cool to see Ludwig Göransson going on stage. I love all his scores, and Redbone is a banger to the 10th degree, so such a great song. And so it was nice to see him win Best Score. On that note, I think that Justin Hurwitz not being nominated for First Man is a huge snub. I had talked last time about Johan Johansson not getting nominated, and I found out later that that film was not eligible for contention because of being video on demand. So, you know, I wish that it could have been nominated, but I understand. But First Man, that's just a great score with so much emotion and intensity to the space scenes and stuff. But I was quite happy that Ludwig took home the statue on that one. Best makeup, I mean, that one I thought was a toss-up too, but I was pumped to see Alfonso Cuarón take home cinematography, director, and best foreign film. He just kept coming back up on stage, and I think that movie was a masterpiece, and so it definitely deserved every nomination that it got. I kind of thought it would win Best Picture, but it makes sense that it would get Best Foreign Film and not Best Picture. And you can tell that he's just such a lover of cinema, and like with the quotes that he was saying and stuff, and he just seems like a really cool guy. It was cool to see him like broing out with Guillermo del Toro, like with their arms around each other. I thought that was fun too. I also liked Alfonso Cuarón saying that he studied foreign films growing up, and then he named like The Godfather and Jaws because foreign is all relative, and a foreign film to me in Canada would be from Hollywood, and the Oscars, it's just like all American centric, and then there's the rest of the world. So he put an interesting spin on that. Here's where I had an issue. Hot take was not Green Book winning Best Picture, but Bohemian Rhapsody winning Best Film Editing. Because say what you will, If you liked the movie, you enjoyed, you thought you had fun, whether you thought it was a fun testament to Freddie Mercury, which it was not, even if you just liked the Queen music and you had a good time watching it, the editing was horrid, and I just do not know how this could be nominated for an Oscar, let alone win an Oscar, and I was dumbfounded when this came up. Maybe it's because it was such a rocky production, and they lost their director, and they had to piece it together in the end, and they maybe respected the editor for all that hard work, but this thing was choppy. Like, it was cutting every 2 seconds. It was like a Bourne film, back and forth, and like you could barely even do the coverage right. And like one person would be in the shot, and then they would just barely switch the angle to get that person's reaction, and then back, and then next person. They had to show everyone's reactions, just always cutting, and it was exhausting, and the pacing was off, and Vice, the whole film, I think, pretty much all of its merits, other than the acting, came from the editing. It felt very much like a film pieced together in the edit, and even though I think it was a mess, it definitely took some risks and had some very creative editing in it. Same with The Favorite. I probably would have said The Favorite would win this. BlacKkKlansman also took some risks with the editing and created some meaning with its edit, but also had some iffy editing too. Green Book was so straightforward. I don't know why it was nominated for Best Film Editing, but anyways, that's my 2 cents. I'm obviously not the be-all, end-all here, and this is my opinion. Even though I didn't like the film, I can objectively say that editing was a mess, and I do not know why it won an Oscar. It's fun to see Spider-Man win for animated feature, and First Man got that one win for visual effects, but that was fun. I didn't expect that, actually. Like, the other ones were so reliant on their special effects, I expected one of them to get it, but, I guess I'm biased because I like the film, but it was fun to see that. It's interesting to me that Green Book is an original screenplay, because I feel like it was based off of his memoirs, but I guess since that's not a book or another film, then it's an original screenplay. I felt kind of cheated here. I think First Reformed should have won this. I think Paul Schrader should have taken home that Oscar, but what can you do? Best Adapted Screenplay was also kind of baffled me, because I found a lot of the writing to be quite poor in BlacKkKlansman. I didn't think that was its strength, and some of the lines in that were so on the nose that it was painful. And I liked the movie, but some of those lines were awful. I honestly would have liked to have seen it go to any of the other ones. I did like BlacKkKlansman, but it almost felt like they were just like, here's your Oscar spike, because you're not going to get it in the other category, I guess. It was cool to see Rami win. I saw him like way back in this, actually, way back in the day. Not that long ago. I like Mr. Robot and stuff. It's just cool to see him winning too. I mean, he was in good company, and I think any of them could have taken it home, so good for him. Now, Best Picture, I've seen a lot of controversy about this, and I'm sure I'm not the one to comment on it, but I think it was a fine movie. I think as far as like easy to swallow like mainstream films, it was pretty good. It was funny, and it had heart, and even though it was kind of like what people are saying, it's kind of like a simple view of race, I don't think it's trying to say that it can solve racism just by talking with people, but that your prejudice is learned and you can unlearn it, whether that's talking to people or just erasing your ignorance through learning and through knowledge and through practice. And I think that's a good sentiment, even though it is really simple and most people should know that. And I think it certainly had some moments that were a lot more nuanced than I thought that they would be. Like, it shows that racism isn't always the violent, abrasive, obvious, like what you see in the Deep South in films, but even just assuming the type of music that someone likes or the type of food that they like, going off your preconceived notions of who they are as a person, and that is racist. And I think it did quite well at showing that. And I mean, the performances are great, and unlike Bohemian Rhapsody, the editing wasn't a complete mess. It was all straightforward and you didn't notice any of it, which is what good editing is. I mean, the cinematography was fine. It all looked good. The score was good. I do think Black Panther's a better film. I don't think that it's something that normally the Academy would pick, and so I don't know why people are so surprised that it didn't win. BlacKkKlansman, I think, was kind of messy as a film. I still would have liked to have seen that win. Roma or The Favorite like probably would have been my top picks. A Star is Born I like too, but I also didn't really see that being picked. It was kind of there with Black Panther, where it's like films that I like but I knew kind of weren't gonna get picked. Vice was also really messy as a film, and I enjoyed certain parts of it, but there was like this monologue at the end that completely turned like the meaning of the film on its head, and every bit of momentum that they had built towards kind of got ruined because they were like showing kind of how shitty Dick Cheney was and how evil and manipulative he had been, and then at the end it's like trying to justify what he did almost. And it's funny that they used that as their clip for the nomination for Christian Bale. Yeah, I felt that really undermined the film, so I didn't really want that one to win. But really, any of them winning except for Bohemian Rhapsody, I would have been fine, because not only was that formally bad, and not only did I subjectively think it was bad, but it's also offensive. Honestly, it felt like an affront to Freddie Mercury's memory. It really just felt more like a Queen movie, a concert movie, which is fine, but not Best Picture material. I think it was certainly the worst prestige film, and it was definitely the worst film out of all the nominees, out of all the Oscars this year, in my opinion. And so I don't think Green Book winning is as bad as if Bohemian Rhapsody had have won, but maybe I'm biased, I don't know. Now, I think that pretty much rounds it up. Let me know in the comments if you disagree with any of this. Tell me who you think got snubbed. I think Ethan Hawke not being nominated as well for First Reformed was a huge snub. But I mean, that was such a stacked category that it was hard to see who he could have replaced anyways. And I think First Man Across the Board got snubbed, but I think it's probably because they gave so many awards to La La Land. They probably felt bad and they were trying to spread them out to everyone else. And I think it kind of went under people's radars, but I hadn't seen it when I did the last video, but I really loved First Man. I think it's like one of my top films of the year, and so it was sad not to see it get more recognition here, but a lot of great films got recognition, and they spread out the awards pretty nicely, so I think it was a good night overall, other than the couple of lows that I mentioned. It's also funny that the makeup and hair speech that they gave was the most uncomfortable and the lowest point of the night, and it was supposed to be during the commercial break originally, and it just felt so ironic that that's what we ended up seeing, and I cringed into the fifth dimension. I wanted to sink into my couch, and I closed my eyes because it was so uncomfortable. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the Oscars in the comments, and I'll probably do a follow-up video where I talk a little bit about like my top of the year list. I've still got a couple to polish off, like Beale Street, and I've got to watch Shoplifters and Burning and stuff, so that'll be coming soon. And they just released a teaser for The Irishman, which is a really big tease, so hopefully an actual trailer will come out and I'll do like a reaction video to that. And I'm also going to do a roundup of like the Criterion Channel movie of the week that they've been doing. I'm going to do kind of a review roundup, so make sure you subscribe so you can see when those come out. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you around.